Brother Almighty, I've been reading lately about a dam that Ethiopia is building, right? Now, if Egypt wasn't so occupied with these coup and what is that, a coup and whatever, do you think they would be concentrating on using military means or so forth to prevent Ethiopia from completing this dam? And the other question is this: how can the African continent, as a matter of fact, I have no doubt that Egypt is in Africa, but is it Africa? Now, how can the African continent develop to its fullest ability if we have the corrupt countries such as the United States and the other Western countries that are corrupting these pawns that they use to beat down their people and to control the resources of the country? Egypt is a pawn of the United States, and the only people benefiting from what's going on in Egypt right now is the military, the United States and Israel. And as I think gentleman mentioned a moment ago, that nobody's discussing these issues. Now, I've never seen some of the dumbest bunch of people as the American population, because the propaganda machine that is turned on and is screwing their heads up every day. You look at the TV and the radio, and the stuff that is coming out that is preoccupying their mind. It's as if they're not getting any in-depth information that is making them able to make wise and conscious decisions. So how can, I think it's hopeless to the United States, all right? They're just pawns and just watching things happen. But as far as the African continent is concerned, since that is where our ancestors came from, and we have to be concerned about that continent because it's being divided up, it is being chopped up, and everybody's getting a piece of the African continent but us. So what is the solution? What is it that we need to do to get some of these African leaders to understand that if they don't come together and develop the continent in the interest of the African people, it will be only a matter of time before their time comes, because every dime that they get from the West is banked in Western banks. They know where every dime is, and whenever they want to clamp down, then they can clamp down. So what is the solution? Because I come to these things so many times, and it's like an exercise in futility. And we come and we listen to the scholars, and we don't get to interact as the little people, because I guess we don't have nothing to say. So we listen, and they come, and you believe that they are like the solution. But still, the leadership come with these thoughts, and still nothing happens.
So I want to take another last question from the back, and then you can address it. Okay, so two more questions, please, if you guys don't mind. Yes. Go ahead. Did you want to make a comment or a question?
Yeah, I wanted to make a comment because I was going to say that people are not emphasizing the religious. Religious have no role in politics. So this conflict in Egypt, the conflict in Egypt before the fall of Mubarak, they had a stable government before the revolution. So after the revolution, things became worse because of the religion that was desired into politics. That's what we should emphasize a little bit, because I know it's a very big issue. You understand what I'm saying? Because the Christians in Egypt, they were marginalized during the Muslim Brotherhood regime that just fell. And so many people were arrested. You hardly see that on the television. So the military did not just come overnight to take over the government. It was because of the issues that they had with Muslim Brotherhood. I watched a TV where a minister was, beating a little boy because he came out to say they don't like what is going on. This is 21st century. So if we're making any progress, we should not allow religion to take over our politics.
Yes. So Susan, you have something to say. Sorry, question.
Yeah, I'm Susanna Dobson. I publish African Leagues in Joda.org. I'd like to ask two questions. First of all, I'd like to know what the $1.4 billion is. Who's going to get it, what they're going to do with it, that was voted in by Congress last week. was an interesting argument. I understand that it was voted in eventually with the understanding it wasn't going to be used for any military, any weapons. So I'm thinking, what do you do with $1.4 billion? I don't know. The second question I'd like to ask is, are things getting better? I mean, is peace in sight? I mean, is this tragedy going to stop? That's what I'd really like to know.
Yes, thank you. I still remain the moderator. I do not accept coup in my space. So I just want to address that brother quickly. I hear this all the time that Africans are not part of looting Africa. That is not true. A lot of Africans are involved in the destruction of Africa, in addition to the West. So we cannot isolate those Africans. When we are having the discussion about Africa and the condition of Africa, there are Africans, people like you and I, with eyebrows like yours, with goatees like yours and mine, are part of the people destroying Africa. We must point at them and continue to name and shame them, and not isolate them as if some people came from the sky, fell on the continent. A lot of African countries have been independent, so to speak. You know, you may not agree that independent means anything. I don't. But it is so many black people ruling black people now. So we cannot continue to use this excuse that some people are wrong. The person who is president of Nigeria is not white. The president of Ghana is not white. The president of South Africa is not white. He's a black person.
They are puppets.
Of course.
Well, that's the point I'm making.
It is the point I'm making as well, that the puppets they're talking about are not white. They are black puppets. All right?
My big question, why do we keep saying tribe, brother, cousin? We are all human beings. All brothers and sisters. My mother is white, but she's a good lady. I mean, I can
Lisa is white too. She's a great person. We are not using it in the context of, we are using it in the context of describing how this issue of Africa is being framed. As if some people fell from the sky, which is true. Africa was divided among Europeans, and the Americans came too. But the fact is that, what about our African brothers who are now running Africa?
Aiding and abetting crime.
Aiding and abetting crime, stealing money from their own people.
I agree on that.
Exactly.
I need to say a very quick word on the issue of Ethiopia and the dam and Egypt and so on. I can assure all of you wholeheartedly that Egypt will never use its military forces against any sister country in Africa. We can never do so. We can never. No, we can never. We can never. We have never. We will never. We should never. Never has always been on that case. I mean, the Egyptian army is designed in such a way just to defend when Egypt is. No. When Egypt is being attacked. This is the only situation where the Egyptian army.
And the Egyptian people who rise up get hit by the Egyptian army.
I would like to give you that assurance and give you that statement.
So, do you want to address this?
Okay.
Time is actually running.
Yeah, most of it was actually like a comment, really. And I think you answered actually a lot of your questions in your commentary. The only observation I can make is that I respected the vision, and I respect the vision of Kwame Nkrumah up to date. I think what he said remains true. After Ghana became independent, he said, unless African countries all come together, they will not be able to protect their sovereignty, they will not be able to protect their resources, they will not be able to gain the maximum benefits of the produce that they produce, they will not be able to industrialize and actually create manufacturers to export to European and American markets. And that is completely true. It remains true today. That has to remain the vision for Africa. That's the only way Africa can truly, if you see Africa continentally, can become independent and enjoy the resources that is abundant in Africa. It's one of the biggest testament of our failure collectively, and that's why you have situations where many people actually envision Egypt as one part of the Middle East. Because I think a leader like Nasser actually, he's still renowned today as a Pan-Africanist. He had his heart and his vision at the right place, but I think the whole Middle East, the situation with Israel took his attention away, and then when he died suddenly, we have never had, I think, a person like of Nasser's stature in Egypt.
Thank you. On that note, Lisa, do you have a last word before?
Thank you all so much for coming tonight. It's important to support these roundtables. I hope to see you at the next one. Feel free to email me about ideas for upcoming roundtables. And we need to break this information blockade and have good sources of information, alternative sources of information. And
Egypt, sorry, I mean, can I interrupt you for one? The food that she actually, and the drinks, that's not for free. So she won't say this herself, but if you have any change in your pocket or your wallet, she won't ask for it, but if you can, I will give it to her.
Ajali zake zalimu, karamba zalimu.